And when we were listening to rock and roll, that's when music really mattered. And when people needed to make money for their family, that's when Wall Street really mattered. And now boomers are dying. And so we are living in a culture where there's an overhang of all these people with loud voices talking about the end of the world. Because it's the end of their world, but it's not the end of the world.
I thought you might have a few things to share.
That was a
on this
rant to
subject,
get us
so-
started.
My goodness, you just bought permission to talk about whatever you want. That put a salve on my existential crisis wound that I had earlier today. But before we move on, let me ask you, on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, you strike me and have struck me for a long time as a, let's say, default optimistic, generally, if we consider baseline to be emotion neutral, generally above baseline person. Are there times when you catch yourself perhaps focusing on, noticing, dwelling is too strong a word, but ruminating on the loss of something? And in those cases, what do you do? I'm just wondering what the intervention looks like, what the self-talk looks like, anything like that.
So I really wish you had had a chance to interview Zig Ziglar.
Me too.
Zig was my friend. He was one of my first teachers. And one of the things I took away from Zig, as someone who had gotten himself into a pessimistic cycle for 5 years early in my career, is the world is going to be whatever the world is. Approaching it with a positive, energetic attitude probably will make your experience of the world better than girding yourself by being a pessimist and maybe getting what you're hoping for. So I find myself coming back frequently, particularly in the last bunch of years when there's been so much doom and gloom, to this idea that we get to pick our attitude, and in fact it's the only thing each of us truly gets to pick. And it doesn't mean what happened to you is what you deserve. It just means that that happened. Now you get the one and only choice, which is how to process that.